There is a level of depravity in America that we in the new black media and even some of those outside of the new black media have talked about for ages when it comes to a certain group of people in their level of like and sometimes lust when it comes to PC serial killers. And this is something that dates back years, which is why the obsession is real. So as we all know, Netflix had the miniseries about Jeffrey Dahmer. Of course, I talked about it on my channel. It was a big major thing to talk about at the time that it did come out. It's crazy how it's pretty much been about a month since it got released, or over a month now. It's amazing how time just flies by so fast. And one of the things that people were worried about was the renewed interest in Jeffrey Dahmer, the person, and everything that came with him, which was a lot of baggage and a lot of sickness as well. But one of them happens to be, of course, with Halloween, is these costumes that are floating around of him. Now you see right here, it says eBay is removing Jeffrey Dahmer Halloween costumes. Yes, people were selling or what they would interpret as a replica of a Jeffrey Dahmer costume and putting it on eBay in hopes that people would buy them. And the crazy part about it is a lot of these costumes that were being put on eBay and even on probably other sites, but especially eBay, were not even adult size costumes. These were kids size costumes. I kid you not. Now I'm going to read an article, and it's not coming from CNN, because this screenshot that you see right here is from CNN. But I'm going to read an article that's coming from Newsweek that's going to share something even more crazier about these costumes besides what eBay was doing before they decided to quote unquote ban it. It says the latest controversy surrounding Netflix's drama about serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer has seen parents preparing to dress their children as the notorious murderer for Halloween. Now pick that up. Now peep that. The parents are dressing their kids up like him for Halloween. Again, going back to what I was saying about eBay and the costumes, a lot of them are children based. They're not adult based. Not saying there aren't some adults out there that aren't going to do it, but a lot of them, these parents, are dressing their children up like that. A lot of these kids don't even know who Jeffrey Dahmer is. They probably told him, some things about him, or he was just a scary guy, and here just dress up like him. I mean, there's so many other people or beings or whatever that they could dress up as for Halloween that are fictionalized characters, even if they are scary characters in movies such as your Jasons, Freddy Kruegers, Michael Myers, what have you. But you chose to have them want to dress up like an actual serial killer that murdered and slaughtered and dismembered and ate, ingested and digested human parts in real life. Dozens, in fact. But again, that goes back to the depravity of America from a particular group of people that looks like the one on your screen. Granted, that is Evan Peters. That's not the real Jeffrey Dahmer, but you get my point. Social media users reacted in horror to posts from parents showing off their children dressed as the deceased serial killer, modeling them after actor Evan Peters' portrayal in the limited series Monster: The Jeffrey Dahmer Story. Parents showed their children sporting the killer's trademark floppy blonde hair and square steel glasses. Some were dressed in a replica of his orange prison jumpsuit worn to his court trial, while other parents took it to the next level by including fake body parts in buckets, a camera, and a sandwich made with meat from his victims' bodies, which he tried to offer to his neighbor. Dahmer murdered 17 men and boys in a spree of torture, dismemberment, sexual assault, and even cannibalism from 1978 to 1991. His victims were mainly people of color, mainly black, let's just put it like that. And he was known for storing their body parts in his fridge, disposing of them by flushing their body parts down the toilet, and even storing their bodies in huge vats in his apartment. The killer also photographed many of his victims throughout the course of his assault. Many Twitter users slammed the costume choice as sick ish and insensitive to the families of his victims. If you or your child are dressing up as Jeffrey Dahmer for Halloween, please reevaluate your choices, because that is absolutely disgusting. He is a real monster who took 17 lives. How would you feel if people were dressing up as your family member's murderer? Seriously, wrote one Twitter user. Another added, way too many people in this thread saying let kids be kids. You can't tell me an 8-year-old decided to be Jeffrey Dahmer for Halloween, which is exactly what I said. The parents took the kids' Spider-Man costumes and handed them feet in a bucket. It's the parents using their kids to be edgy, and it's gross. In the third wrote, if you had plans to dress up as Dahmer this Halloween, please reconsider. The guy violated, tortured, murdered, dismembered, and ate his victims, some of which were children, and this was a real person, not some dude from an 80s slasher. Just gross. I agree with everything that every person or every Twitter user just posted. Even rapper Ice-T weighed in on the issue. I wouldn't be surprised if someone dressed up as Dahmer this Halloween and got their ass beat. Just saying, he wrote on Twitter. Someone else says, anyone dressing their kid up as Jeffrey Dahmer for Halloween is disgusting. Anyone who watched knows it all stemmed from his childhood. To condone this as if it's something funny is not only disrespectful to your kid, but so horrible for the victims' families to have to see. SMH. The controversial costume choices come after online retailer eBay banned the sale of Jeffrey Dahmer costumes from its site. eBay confirmed to Newsweek it had removed the costumes for going against its violence and violent criminals policy, which prevented listings that promote or glorify violent acts or are associated with individuals who are notorious for committing violent acts. Many of the victims' families spoke out about the trend of dressing up as Dahmer. One expert told Newsweek the trend was in poor taste. There are some things that are off limits, and I would think that this would be one of them, said Mia Moody Ramirez, professor and chair of Baylor University's Department of Journalism, Public Relations, and New Media. This is the latest string of controversy surrounding the Netflix series, which broke records for the global streamer. His victims' families say the attention has re-traumatized them, while experts argue it could lead to a desensitization of Dahmer's violence. Netflix was also forced to remove the LGBTQ label, which I spoke about in one of my videos. Police came under scrutiny and were accused of not properly investigating the victims' deaths due to the bias against homosexuality at the time, unless though when they were also black. Let's not leave that part out, because that plays another huge part in there that they keep trying to negate, even though when you look at the victims, it's pretty damn obvious. But yeah, these parents are sick. There's really no other way to do it, because these are children right here that they're having dressed up as this guy, and they don't, 9 times out of 10, they don't know who they are. I highly doubt, but I don't want to say I don't if it's not possible, that these parents let their kids watch this series or watch this limited series to get an idea of who he is. And you know what? They probably, and if they didn't, like I said before, they most likely told their kid that this is this guy, and you know, he was this guy or he was this person, and, you know, just dress up as him. Who knows what they told their kids about who this guy was, which is most likely not the entire story, if even the correct story, to be quite honest. So all the fault and the blame falls squarely and solely on the parents of these children who are dressing their kids up like a serial killer. And like someone said in the chat, his issue started when he was a child himself. So to actually see that, it's like literally replaying the entire thing all over again, stemming from his childhood. But like I said, we live in a nation where depravity and sickness and psychos and sickos and everything else that can fall into the category and umbrella of under Jeffrey Dahmer are praised and worshipped. And we know who is doing it. Because when I saw the pictures of the kids, they were all the same complexion. And they all looked like him. And I'm not saying that in the sense of how they were dressed. I'm talking about his skin tone, his complexion, how he identified racial wise. And these parents get a kick out of it. This, I don't know what's worse. Having your child dress up as a notorious serial killer that killed mainly black men, albeit them being in the academy, but let's take the academy out of it. These were black men. Or having these PC teenagers, and anyone PC for that matter, putting on blackface, mocking black people. See, again, it all goes back to the expense of them mocking black people. And the only thing I haven't heard, and I hope I'm not, jinxing myself when I say this, but I hope they don't go all the way or try to go all the way with this Jeffrey Dahmer costume thing with their kids to the point where they trying to go seek out a black child to go and quote unquote mimic what he did. Because 9 times out of 10, I bet them parents probably told their kid to go the distance, go all the way. Don't half step it. Don't just dress the part, be the part. It's wild out here.